Hi, my name is Rhonda Seitz, and I'm introducing an instructional unit that covers mathematics with integrated literature, and it's called MathCurse. It's a multi-step word problem unit. So as you can see, it addresses the content standards of the fourth grade, and here they are. There's several of them. But the goal of the unit is to introduce multi-step word problems in a manner that reflects real-life scenarios. When given a word problem, the student can interpret the information in the word problem and solve it using mathematical reasoning and equations. The objective of the lesson is for students to learn to interpret the information that's provided in the word problems and formulate mathematical equations using either multiplication, division, addition, or subtraction to solve it with a 70 to 80% accuracy. Upon completion of this lesson, the students will identify the relationship between word problems and mathematical equations and demonstrate a fluency in solving multi-step word problems and identifying the properties within to form word problems. The assignment will be measured within the means of 70 to 80% accuracy against the standard proficiency grading scale or rubric that I've also included. This lesson addresses multiple intelligence, visual spatial, interpersonal, interpersonal, logical, mathematical, linguistic, and bodily kinesthetic. The strategy for assessments will be conducted through observations, interviewing questions, and discussions, analyzing the homework and the extension unit. Students will complete the provided worksheet and demonstrate their understanding and interpreting and solving word problems. Observations for formative assessment will I will be observing how accurately the students formulate their answers during the story, checking for correct answers and student understanding. The summative assessment will be independent work graded upon completion, which should be completed with a 70% accuracy, and the extension will also be evaluated. So the strategies for meeting diversified learners, the students will be with learning disabilities who meet their have diversified learning criteria, will be addressed according to their IEP protocol. Students that require additional individual explanations during the assignment can be accommodated by pulling them from the group portion when I pair them up and work with them one-on-one as a group with myself in the front of the room. The materials and the equipment here, very basic. The book called MathCurse, a work flyer, and a worksheet. This can be presented with an overhead projector, a poster board or any kind of object that's in the shape of a bus, and whiteboards and whiteboard markers. So for the first portion, the intro, I will ask the class, do you ever wake up to those days where everything is a problem? And this is an excerpt from the book called MathCurse. You have 10 things to do, but only 30 minutes until your bus leaves. Is there enough time? You have 3 shirts, 2 pairs of pants. Can you make a good outfit? Then you start to wonder, why does everything have to be such a problem? Why do 2 apples always have to be added to 5 oranges? Why do 4 kids have to divide 12 marbles? Why can't you keep 10 cookies without having to take 3 away? Why? Because you're the victim of the math curse. But don't despair. And so I'm going to further this. This should get them excited about math and word problems. Kind of petrify them in a way, but it is a fun way to introduce word problems. And it's going to further the exploration to develop their thinking for word problems and establish themselves that word problems can project themselves in everyday situation, and it also integrates literature into mathematics. The third portion of this lesson, I will ask a bus problem. And coincidentally, this MathCurse book does have a bus problem also within the text. So it's nice to reiterate the same basic information in a different way. So I will ask a bus problem, and Mr. Smith is driving a bus. At first, the bus is empty. At the first stop, it picks up 10 passengers, and at the second stop, 2 get off the bus. Then 4 board the bus at the third stop, and half get off the bus. At that point, I'm going to pause and say, I'm going to wait for the students to either raise their hand in anticipation to answer a question that normally they would anticipate right away, and then ask, what was the name of the bus driver? Or you can alternatively tell them that most students were probably already calculating the number of passengers remaining on the bus, which is because it's in a classroom situation, most students will be doing it. So I'm going to explain that although this was a surprise check to see if they were listening, in reality, they were mentally using skills to solve the problem using addition, subtraction, and division. I'm going to explain that just like the story problem in the book we just read, that many math questions involve performing multiple math steps in order to find the final answer. The information gained through this phase can be used as a formative assessment in checking for understanding. I'm going to tell the students that we're going to reread the bus story problem, but this time I'm going to invite volunteers and we're going to reenact it. So this provides an opportunity to model to the students how the details of the stories will solve this bus problem, and gives the students an opportunity to be modeled within their peer group. So at that point, I can also check for understanding and formative assessment. So we will reread the bus story problem, and students can, I will be using the volunteers, but the students can work out this problem along with us on whiteboards. So this will aid the students visually and establish how they want to work on the subsequent worksheet when they complete it in their groups and independently at home. So we go through this and we're going to reread this each step of the problem. So at first the bus has no passengers. At the first stop, 10 passengers get on the bus. Have the students stand up and they're going to join the bus driver, which is holding either a poster board with the bus picture on it or some form that represents a bus in the front of the room. And then I'm going to write over on the overhead, 0 plus 10 equals 10. At the second stop, 2 passengers, and at this point the students will be doing the same on their whiteboards. 2 passengers get off the bus. Have 2 of the 10 passengers return to their seat, and then write 10 minus 2 equals 8. You can have the students hold up their whiteboards, and this will give you another assessment form. When 4 passengers board the bus, invite 4 new volunteers to join the group at the front of the room on the bus, and then write 8 plus 4 equals 12. At the third stop, half the passengers get off the bus. Have 6 of the 12 remaining passengers return to their seats, and then write 12 divided by 2 equals 6. Then finally, I will ask how many passengers are left, and the answer, of course, is 6. But I'm going to point to the steps that we wrote down on the board to show that they did use addition, subtraction, and division to solve this mathematical problem, and explain that since this was a multi-step problem, it was helpful to break it down into smaller, simpler math problems in order to solve it. At this point, both on the overhead and on a flyer, it's entitled Tim's Flyer and Neighborhood Jobs Worksheet. I will be giving them out to each individual student, and they will pair up, and basically they're going to work on, we will be modeling the first problem. So let me show you that. So here is a representation of what Tim would be making per hour per job. So the first, let's see if I can get this to go. So the first question, Tim spent 2 hours on Sunday weeding Mr. Hank's yard and 2 hours watering Mrs. Walters' rose bushes. How much money did he earn? So you can see this first question we will be modeling as a group. The second and third questions, they will be working and pairing off with their elbow partner at their desks, and I will be, if there is no differential learning and there isn't any situation which probably wouldn't be the case in a normal setting, but I will be able to check for understanding at this point as well. And then the third portion of this worksheet, they will be working at home to solve the last 3 problems. And of course, at the end, there is a answer sheet. So as we go back to the lesson plan, So they're going to work on we will be working on the first one and modeling it as a whole group for the first problem. And I will have the students return to their desk and solve the second and third problems in groups. And they can work on this directly on the worksheet, or they can do it on the whiteboards, and we will be discussing the answers as a group and share the steps that they used. At this point you can use a lot of your questions to determine whether and check for understanding and assessment. So beyond the independent work process, I will be having the students complete problems 4 through 6 independently as homework. And the worksheet is going to provide the opportunity for students to show the independent work and understanding and serve as a summative assessment. The extension is at the end, I'm going to encourage them to write 4 new multi-step problems and trade them the next day during our math group to the class. So this gives myself an opportunity to assess the retention of the assignment and also assess the students' understanding to and whether they identify with. I can tell whether they need further instruction or we can move on. This is a great opportunity to figure out if they have grasped the concept or we really need to slow down and reassess where we're at with the lesson. The opportunity to create word problems encourages thinking and provides formative assessment for the students, and writing their response integrates English language arts into the lesson. The extension will provide a formative assessment, and that they will finish after this part will be the last questions 4 through 6, and that will be a summative assessment, and they will be graded within this rubric that I've also included. And so basically the extension, it's going to give them an opportunity to finish and work on it independently and serve as the summative assessment and checking to see if they're able to formulate word problems on their own in a logical and meaningful way. And that's the end of the lesson. Thank you.